part is what helps make the school run smoothly so that teachers can do their amazing job in the classroom.
Speaking of those hardships and everything, is there anyone that you would most go to help like with advice or anything?
Well, I have an amazing leadership team. My leadership team consists of Miss McCasey, the assistant principal, Miss Thompson, the instructional coach, and then of course Dr. Adams, who's our school lead counselor. So the four of us are a team, and we make decisions together with me leading the helm that deals with early college high school. But now I do have mentors outside of this building. I can also turn to my boss, Miss April Scott, for guidance. She does an amazing job helping not just me, but all the high school principals with whatever we may need or any challenges that we have come up as we are dealing with our day-to-day operations.
Okay. How would you describe our school culture? Like, how do you see us as a school?
Well, the teachers and I laugh because when you walk into our building, I feel like you can feel our school culture. Our school culture to me is very warm and very inviting. What I love most about our school and our school culture, because I think it speaks volume for students, is that you all allow students to be whoever they want to be, however they choose to dress. Some some of our students don't always have the latest fashion trends or even the latest of anything, but whatever they choose to wear, no one makes them apologize for that. They get to be their authentic selves. I love the fact that you all kind of check each other. I think our culture is also very supportive. I think being small like we are lend itself for people to form more authentic friendships, and it forces you to remove a lot of the things that can distract you in bigger schools, and then you really have to get to know people. And I think in our world, we're kind to each other, but I think because we're so small, it just sort of requires us to be kind. Because if you're not, then people can really see it more than they would in the larger schools. And so I think our culture is very supportive, very kind, very inviting. When people come to visit our school, they say to me, "Oh my God, I just love the way it feels here." And that's what I think we want. We want people to feel it when they walk in, that this is a school that cares about kids. This is a school where kids care about the building, care about each other, and want to be here.
Okay. And then with like the new rules that we have with like the phones and the going through searches and
Yeah.
all that, how are you feeling about that?
Well, truthfully, it's been a stressor, and 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 sometimes I live in a bubble. I don't intend to live in a bubble. I just am in such an amazing school. It just sort of puts me in a bubble. Like I feel very safe over here. I feel very safe on this campus. I feel very safe with my students around, and because of that, sometimes you kind of can get in this little wall of not being aware of what's going on around you. But I do realize that outside of the protective bubble of what is early college high school, there's a lot going on. And we had a little bit more freedoms than a lot of our friends in the attendance area high schools. For instance, our cell phone policy allowed you to be able to have it during lunch. You could have it before school and after school because we do end earlier than the attendance area high schools. And then, of course, you can have it as you're walking across campus to your college classes. In the traditional, or like what I like to call traditional, but the attendance area high schools, they don't have that luxury. When once they get to school and they power their phones off or put them on silent, they're away. We've always kind of done searches, but they were random. But the searches now and the clear bags, I understand they're all for our safety, but we work hard as a team to make sure that that doesn't change how we interact with you. Because in the beginning, as we were navigating all the newness, it was a lot of take this out, take that out, take your calculator out, take your computer out, take your notebook out, go back through the line. And so that's kind of hard when you first walk in the door. That's the first thing you hear. Nothing about that feels warm. Nothing about that feels inviting. And now we've kind of got it down to a routine. So when you all walk in, it's no longer, we help you get through it. We try to figure out what caused you to alert. And then our students have gotten pretty good about knowing what to do and knowing what are the things that are going to cause it to alert and just complying. And so that part has better. It's been a little stressful though because it's so much change all at once.
Exactly.
Like from the clear bag to the new cell phone law that's coming, to the daily screenings, and like for instance, it was hard on me as an administrator because we don't think anything of walking out our door and going all across campus, whether it's to a class, whether it's to do something in the media center, whether it's to go to the next building for college coverage. And now every time you enter, you gotta do what? You gotta go through screens, even navigating that. And then being on a college campus where the adults are on this campus, and to have you with clear bags, and it kind of looked like what you are, a high school student. So I worried about it kind of making you look like you were a kid, even though you are a young adult. I didn't want you looking like a high school student because I wanted you to be treated like a college student. And then, figuring out a solution for that. So the solution was, you can leave your bag and just take your book and your laptop. And now I'm like, you know what? The whole county knows that kids have clear bags. So if you want to take your bag, you take it. If you want to leave it, you leave it. And I'm surprised we have quite a few kids that still choose to leave their bags here. And that's okay. So those are things that, I've been trying to adjust to. And I'm kind of there.
Yeah, so
kinda.
judgment for all of us.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's the end, like the little end section for our college experience. So now we're gonna turn over to San.
So, thank you for speaking so greatly about us early college students. I definitely agree with you regarding a lot of what you said, whether it been the maturity, how authentic our school culture is, and everything of that sort. But I'm interested in your personal college and high school experiences. So, you've grown since high school, obviously. How would you describe yourself as a student?
Wow.
It's been a minute.
That's so funny. You're right. Almost 40 years worth of a minute.
You don't look it.
But I loved school. School was one of my favorite places. I was that kid that would cry when it was time to go home for summer vacation because I knew I was going to miss school. And I lived out in the country. I live out in Bucksport.
Yeah.
And that's a pretty, back in the day before like buses and stuff seemed to go much faster now than they did back then, that was a long bus ride. And so you didn't go to Conway as often as you do like we do now. Like I don't think anything of it. I might make 2 or 3 trips to Conway. But as a child growing up, I didn't do that. And so school was where I thrived. It was the one thing I thought I was really good at. I was a child with asthma. And so my parents were overly protective because they didn't know what would trigger an asthma attack. And people didn't know as much about asthma then as they know now. And so my parents were overly protective. And so I didn't get to play, I wasn't the kid that played sports because again, they were afraid it was a trigger an asthma attack. So I spent a lot of time reading and doing school. And I knew early on I was going to be a teacher. I can remember being in kindergarten telling my mama I was going to be a teacher. And I just could feel it in my being. And so I loved school. I loved learning. I loved reading. I came up in an era before there were computers that were affordable. So I can remember reading the encyclopedia for fun or reading the dictionary for fun. Even now as an adult, I have the app on my phone, the dictionary app on my phone. I get a new word a day. My goal is to study the word and see how I can use that word in my speaking vocabulary.
Absolutely.
It's not like that anymore. Like a lot of kids don't use actual textbooks.
We use
like,
brain rot.
Yeah.
Like half of
crazy
it.
how
Brain
much
Yeah.
we're so like stuck to our technology.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love that about you. That's
Yeah.
super ambitious.
And I
Oh my
love to
gosh.
read books. I do have the electronic readers. I had to have one when they first came out. I have an
Kindle?
old Kindle. So I thought, I gotta get a Kindle. And I have all these books on it. And it's nice to be able to carry my books. And I can't tell you the last time I picked up a Kindle, you know what? Because I miss the feel of a book. I miss the feel of the pages between my fingers. I miss being able to use all of my cool bookmarks. And you can't do all that in the electronic world. And like I said, I love reading, and so I always got a book. You look at my car, there's always a book somewhere in my car, whether it's on my back seat. I got a couple books in the trunk as books I'm going to read, and I've got the book on my back seat means that's the book I'm currently reading. And I always figure if I'm gonna be hemmed up somewhere, as my mama said, you get hemmed up somewhere and you can't get home, I'm gonna be with my good book.
Yes, ma'am. I love that. So you did a lot of great things when you were in high school, but one question that I have for you: what was your clothing style?
Oh, that is so funny. I think my clothing style was kind of sort of like it is now. I've always been kind of conservative, so I always wore what was trendy, but on the more conservative side.
Yeah,
Um, like I said, I knew I was going to be a teacher, so the teachers in the building were my inspiration. And it's not like it is now.
A lot of that today.
It's not like it is now, but back in the old days, teachers dressed differently. Teachers today are younger. Not all of them, but they're young people, and so they dress for the times. But I can remember emulating my teachers when I first got my teaching job. Like I wore heels and skirts because that's what my teachers wore. But whenever I was a student in high school, I felt like I dressed like everybody else. But I wore jeans, and if I wore a sweatshirt, I'd put my button-down Oxford underneath and I'd let it hang from under the bottom. Little things like that. But I always try to stay trendy, but yet more on the conservative side.
Awesome. So speaking of trendy, what type of music did you listen to?
Oh, I believe it or not, when I tell you this, when I was in high school, I loved heavy metal music.
Heavy metal?
You're lying.
Metal. I loved it. I used to have the posters on my wall in my bedroom covered with all of the heavy metal guys.
Seriously?
And that was so uncommon because I'm black, right? So I got I caught a lot of flack for that.
How did your
loved
mom feel?
my mama